Hi, my name is Joan Potter Summer. I am so thrilled to see you all here. I am the Alger County Renewable Energy Solutions Chair and Organizer. I don't know a whole lot about solar. Although I do promote. So here we go. I just wanted to say I am excited for being here because the Acres Group, we call ourselves Acres, has met for the last 2, 3 years. I've been in leading position. And we've talked about group solar buy. We've talked about this and, how do you do a group buy? Where I came from, they did it down in that town and it worked out. It took a while to get everybody in line, but it worked out. So I was excited to have the opportunity to work with the Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association. They have a program called Solarize, and that's why it's called Alger County Solarize. So I guess what I want to say is also it's not only the great Glear, right? Glear. I'd also like to say we have other it's a combination of people. We have the Michigan Environmental Group, they're over here, Abby and Paula, and we have Ben Schimpf from the Peninsula Solar. So you're going to get to meet them, ask them questions, and I will turn it over to Marshall Clabeau.
All right, thank
Who
you,
is
Joan.
from the Glear.
Yeah, GLREA. Yeah, the acronym sounds like a bad. Yeah, so let's see here. All right, so my name is Marshall Clabeau, as Joan said, with the Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association. This is my contact, and don't feel like you got to take photos of these slides. We're gonna, if you make sure you sign in before you leave, and we'll be sure to email this to you. We're gonna put the recording on YouTube. So part of the program is sharing it with your neighbors, friends, family, businesses after the event. So GLREA is one of the oldest nonprofits in Michigan working on renewable energy expansion. Been around since 1992, so over 30 years, educating, advocating, promoting policy in Lansing to adopt renewable energy. A lot of more information at our website, glrea.org. This is a fun photo for me. I took this on the roof of a cooperative house in East Lansing, David Bowie Memorial Co-op, and it won GLREA Photo of the Year 2 years ago. So that's kind of a point of pride. It was a 4.2 kW system. There's 25 people that live there, so that's a pretty fun project. Nice flat roof, right downtown East Lansing. This is one of my favorite graphs to show at presentations. Thanks to the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory for making this available for use. What we see here is Michigan's energy mix. So it says Michigan's energy consumption in 2021. The reason that's so backdated is just because they stopped producing these graphics, but I feel like it's a really great visual of where we're at. And it really hasn't changed that much in 4 years, unfortunately. As we transition to renewable energy, getting away from fossil fuel infrastructure, we know that there's the health benefits. We know that there's cost benefits. But the work is real. So you can see at the very top here, this very, very small yellow line is our solar line. That's going to need to increase exponentially. So programs like this, working with your local units of government, working with your local schools, businesses, nonprofits, home solar, that's all part of the mix. We need to advocate for community solar. The UP especially is a great spot for community solar. There's a great examples. And Lance was a great community solar project. You have a state representative up here that's put forth a bill. So definitely be sure to work with your state representatives and say, hey, we need community solar. Maybe you can't do it on your home. Maybe you can't afford it. There's too much shade. Whatever it might be, community solar is an avenue to really expand the solar adoption to meet our state energy goals, which is law. There will be some nuclear as we transition. They're bringing a new nuclear plant online any day now down southern Michigan, Palisades nuclear plant, kind of near St. Joe, Michigan, southwest corner. Hydro, I went to a hydro dam up here today, so that was pretty fun. Wind, it's going to grow, but it's also somewhat tapped out. There's a lot of zoning issues, challenges with wind. There will be more wind coming online, but not as much as solar. So that's where we really need to keep expanding our solar line. Natural gas is probably going to be pretty stable here. I've heard they're trying to build up to 6 more natural gas plants. This is the type of thing we really need to avoid. We don't know the true benefits or the cost of natural gas. They label it as a cheap fuel now, but the health hazards from asthma, cancer, and the whole supply chain. We don't even know the methane reportings from the fracking of it, the transfer of it, the storage of it, then the burning of it. There's a lot in there that we're not calculating. So I'm pretty scared about the natural gas plants, but that's just more motivation to really transition to renewables, especially solar up here where it's remote. We have high energy costs and it works. Biomass and petroleum, gonna have to keep weaning off that petroleum and coal. Last kind of point on this graph is all this gray over here is rejected energy. You don't get rejected energy with renewables. Rejected energy is heat from the fossil fuel combustion. And so that's a lot of wasted energy. Furthermore, the big transmission lines, those lose 20% of the power generated. So the power companies, they build these giant plants far away from everyone, have to send it miles across the wires. They're losing 20% on all of that transmission. So that's a big problem in the industry that renewables are kind of a solution to. So the Michigan Solar Communities Guidebook, this is a great tool that GLRA developed recently. It's a 80-page document. I can send you physical copies or you can download it at our website, glrea.org. Really a great tool. I say it's everything under the sun. Any information that you're curious about solar, renewable energy is going to be in that book. Was one of the editors. So it was a fun project. I was only been on staff for about a year and a half now. I was on the board of directors. Yep, I was on the board of directors for 4 years before developing this guidebook. This is just a slide to download the guidebook once we have Wi-Fi service. I just put that in there for ease. Once you'll be emailed these as well. This is the Solarize program across the state of Michigan. So I'm pretty excited to be able to add one of these suns up in the UP coming up. My next graphic. Had to get the event done before you threw it up there, but as you can see, it's really all over the state. The program started in Ann Arbor in 2022, 2023. They've done hundreds of projects at this point, probably 700-800 projects. Every month they host a meeting, so they have a whole staffer. It's hard to compare to Ann Arbor just because they're so far ahead of everyone. I'm one person running the whole state. We just hired a coordinator, Lexi Crilly, who's been a great help to organize this event as well. But two people to cover the whole state is a lot different than Ann Arbor having a full-time person doing this every day. We've had a lot of success in Lansing. Grand Rapids came online this year, and those meetings have been great. Good turnout, much like this. We get 40 to 60 people at those meetings. We're doing over 100 kW a meeting, so 15 to 30 households are signing up at a time in Grand Rapids, which is really a lot of fun. That's where I grew up, so it's kind of a fun for me to travel there. I live in Lansing now, so I drove up for this meeting. Really trying to get it going in Detroit. On the Kalamazoo, had an event there. That was the last event before this. Mount Pleasant as well is the most north we've gone, so it's good to be up here. So what is Solarize? That's kind of the question why we're here. Really, it's a community organizing, educating, talking to neighbors, peer-to-peer organizing. When we work with our family members, our neighbors, talking about the benefits of solar energy, why we need to do it. It's going to save us money. It's going to help our natural environment. It's going to help our physical self through less asthma, less cancer from these fossil fuel plants. And it's been growing. Like I said, it started in Ann Arbor, 2022. Yeah.
Someone shut the lights up. I think the glare on the screen.
It's kind of hard to see. Yeah, let's see if we can't turn some of these front ones off. Thank you for that. Yeah, that seems to work a little better. Great. Very good. Well, we'll keep the show moving. You'll get these slides. But yeah, thank you for calling that out. And so yeah, when we come together, we can get a significant discount purchasing together. That's the idea that Joan was talking about, a group buy. These programs are happening all over the nation. Ann Arbor reached out to GLREA in 2023, 2024 to ask if we could do this statewide. So that's what got us here. I'm able to do this work through a grant through EGLE, Environment, Great Lakes and Energy. It's our state environmental agency. So thank EGLE for helping to expand this program as well.
You're welcome.
You with EGLE? Oh, very good. Very good. Thank you. So. Okay, so now we're going to kick over to Michigan Environmental Council, which has been a lot of fun being a coalition here. Been affiliated with Michigan Environmental Council a long time, but it's good to officially do an event.
That it is. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. My name is Abby Wallace. I am our movement building coordinator. Used to be coordinator, now I'm the manager. And I have my colleague Paula Rivera Gonzalez here as well. And yeah, am I in charge of moving my own
Please see the
slides?
next slide.
Okay, next slide. Okay, cool. Well, just to explain to everybody who MEC is, so we are a statewide environmental nonprofit. We have offices in Marquette, in Lansing, and in Detroit. And I like to explain, I was saying to someone I had the pleasure of meeting in the crowd before we started, that I describe the work that we do as being sort of along two different branches. So we have our policy advocacy arm of our organization. So we have about, I think it's 8 policy people that work in Lansing. So those are our folks that are on the ground directly lobbying against bad environmental policy and for good environmental policy. And then the other side of our organization is that we are a coalition of around 100 environmental organizations across the state. Those range from sort of your super small single issue groups that are just like, we have a group, I think, that just focuses on green burial practices that's based in the Keweenaw, and up to like the state chapters of NRDC and Sierra Club and those sorts of folks. Our mission, champion lasting protections for Michigan's air, water, and the places we love. And yeah, that's us. So the reason that we're here right now is that back in 2023, we were lucky enough to be awarded a prize that was called the Energizing Rural Communities Prize. This came from the DOE, facilitated through NREL, which is the National Renewable Energy Lab. And the goal of that prize was to allow us to work in a community that was 10,000 people or less and sort of spread awareness about the accessibility of renewable energy and energy efficiency as means to reduce carbon emissions and just to save people some money. So that is how we got connected to Acres. We've really loved being partners with them. And so since then, we've been working mainly in Alger County. We've hosted a number of community education events that I recognize a lot of you guys from, different events. Yeah, so that's what we've been doing up until now. And then next slide. So our role in Solarize is that we are really, really excited to announce that we are going to be able to put $30K towards providing an additional match to projects. So we have that capped at 15% match per project. Depending on how many of you sign up today, determines the discount that you get from the installer. But on top of that, we will provide an additional 15% off for that. So yeah, we're super excited to be involved and to be able to try and help push this stuff forward. So yeah, thank
This
you
is
guys.
exciting for us too. This is the first time we've been able to provide a match like this. So thankful to MEC and be able to do this opportunity.
Thank you guys. I can answer questions at the end too.
Thank you.
Oh, that's me.
It's kind of hard to see it.
Is it?
This was your laser.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, sorry. All right, we'll try. With the darkness, maybe.
Yeah, that might help.
Okay. I'm not sure if I know what I'm doing here. Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah, you don't see it. Unless you can. Do you see the little greenie?
Yes.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, so I am Potter Summer. I'm Joan Potter Summer. My husband is Andy Summer. We have a solar array that we recently installed. It came online. What did I say? Here, go back there. What did I say? In April of 25. So it just came online for us. And I just wanted to say it was a process, mainly because I had in my mind, I wanted to electrify our household. And so we had a representative come out from the Peninsula Solar maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, and we talked about it and thought about it. And so finally in 2024, we made the move. We're going to get it. So we talked with Ben, we got in line and we agreed to put in our solar array. It is, I wanted to say that it has 18 bifacial panels on 3 ground mounted posts. Ben could probably tell you a lot more about it than I can, but it has a 10.44 kilowatt power, or I guess is what you would say. I took this picture because it was at 10:21 a.m. So there's a little bit of shade there, but I'll tell you, it was still pumping. It was pumping out some good energy, and I wanted to show the light and the setting. Here, next, I'm trying to do it with it. Okay, we also installed batteries. So we had the solar panels and we had the batteries. And this is mounted on the side of our house. And the upper part is a 12 kilowatt photovoltaic, and battery inverter, which converts the energy coming off the solar into energy. And there's also generator chargeability with this. So it's reflecting, isn't that funny? Okay, so that's that part. Down here is the battery. And that is 14.3 kilowatt hour. It is wall mounted and it is a lithium battery. So these are outside our house. We are currently having some construction done, but we intend to put an overhang over it so that the snow doesn't get on it. But it's pretty close to the house, so it doesn't. And we're really, really pleased with it. I have been unable to determine our savings yet. I know we're doing savings, but there's been a lot of things happening. What happens is you submit your electric bills to the Peninsula Solar or to your installer, and then they do analysis as to how much electricity you're using and what kind of array that would be best suited. So we had done that, but during that time, I had gotten an EV. And it was after that time that was done. I got an electric vehicle, and we also built a pole barn with my husband's power tools and saws and drills and all that kind of stuff. So and then last year I was gone for 6 months with my electric vehicle, so it wasn't registering on the bills, and I was gone till November. So since November I've been back. This has come up running in April, so I haven't had a comparison, but I know we're saving money. The bills seem to be lower. They are lower. It's just, I don't know kilowatt hours or anything like that. Oh. Yeah. You walk away, I think. Okay, so this is the readout that is on that top part of the inverter, and I just wanted to show you. So this was at 10:40. I took this picture the same day, and I wanted to show you that here you are. This is our panels. It's coming in at 2.39 kilowatts. This is energy coming in from the grid at 0.06 kilowatt. This one is energy going to the power in our house, lights or whatever, at 0.36. And then we have the battery, and it runs on batteries at night. So the battery helps. It runs on batteries at night. So it regenerates itself every morning, or, in the early part of the day. And it's at 72%. And so it's filling itself up to 100%. Once we get that going, then it all goes back, depending what we're using in the house, but it does go back to the grid. We have that happening. Okay, next, please. Okay, so when I've gone around, talked about the solar arrays, and people up here say, well, what about the snow? What about the snow? Does it work? Yes, it does work. And particularly in ground mounted, where you have, this is the slant. And as you can see, it has melted off. There's snow all around it. It melts off during the day. There's no problem with getting power from the sun to the grid or to our solar array. If it does happen to accumulate, my husband has been known to go out one time last year with a leaf blower and just blows off the snow, and it works real well. And then last, I don't know. Okay, so this is from my electric bill. And as you can see here, this is when we came online in April. Okay, Generation is the whatever, orange. I guess that's orange. And then the consumption is blue. And the green, what is this here? Meter display consumption, meter. Yeah. Consumption, blue. Ben, do you know?
I'm actually not used to looking at Alger.
Yeah,
Alger Delta.
So here, this, yeah, the consumption, so this is the blue, this is the green, is also the consumption.
Yeah, so what this is showing you is this isn't necessarily going to show you total production of the solar system, because the utility meter in this case has current transformers that read power directionally. And they're not necessarily reading the power that's produced and sent to the loads in their home directly or to the battery. So this is showing us, basically this is what the utility sees is in orange generation, that's power sent back to the grid. And then it's showing, if they pull a little bit of power at night or off-peak times back from the utility.
When you say consumption, do you mean what you're consuming from the power company or what the power company is consuming from you? What does consumption?
What you're consuming from the power company.
Okay.
Yeah, and you had a question?
Well, I'm confused because we said that this came online in April and yet she said it was working fine in February. Does online mean something different?
So part of the process with these systems is that we have to get we have to go through a long process of permitting. And so you have building inspections, electrical inspections, and utility inspections. So when we first build the system, they're able to use that power right away, but they can't interact with the utility until they get those inspections.
Thank you.
Yes.
for-
And
Sometimes that takes a long
Yeah.
time to
And what else has played into it, so we decided to go with it in the fall, then winter came. So they came in, Peninsula Solar came in and put the ground mounts, the platforms in for the ground mounts before the winter, the snow set in. And then they came back, I think in February, March, and put it on the actual panels. So maybe that's what, I don't know what I
So
said.
your house went online last fall, but it didn't go on.
No, the house-
Until
Oh, yeah,
April.
that, I recall that.
The
Yeah,
house
so
went
we built
online in
solar
April.
first when we had time in our schedule, and then came back and installed the rest of the components.
Yeah, so I was kind of half.
I have pictures of our guys, like knee-deep in
Yeah.
snow.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
and it's
like-
cold, they're out there in
It
the
was
cold.
neat.
I just was, I was
They
amazed.
worked through a lot of adverse conditions out there.
Yeah, and I'm also wondering if the green is like last year consumption.
That's probably what it is, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because here,
Looking
this
at
is,
the Solar app for the inverter, so I'm not as used to looking at.
yeah,
this.
well, and I'm sure they're all different. I didn't realize, but that's what I think it is. It's comparing. And then the blue is the consumption now that is being reflected. No, I don't know. I'm going to stop where I'm going. Okay. I'll be happy to answer questions at the end, and I'll let whomever goes next. Do you want this?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, there's the thing. Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Hi, everyone. My name's Ben. I'm the general manager with Peninsula Solar. Want to thank Joan for, really spearheading this event and kind of taking the time to put everything together. So I work for Peninsula Solar. I've worked for Peninsula Solar for about 8 years now. And Peninsula Solar started in 2011. We are a commercial, residential, and agricultural solar installation company. So, like Joan showed you, a big thing that really drives our company forward is that we're a licensed electrical company first and foremost. So the quality of our workmanship really sets us aside from a lot of different companies that are solar companies, but they subcontract the construction of the solar array, or they subcontract the electrical work. We do that all in-house. We have master electrician, we have journeymen that work underneath them, and apprentices. So we really take a lot of pride in the quality of our workmanship and the systems that we put out there. But one of our focuses, as Joan was showing you, was energy storage systems. So the unique thing that we have here in the UP, and we service the entire UP and northern Michigan, typically Cadillac and up is our service area. But we pay the highest prices for electricity in the state of Michigan. So, on the low end, places like Marquette, MBLP, you might pay 14 cents a kilowatt hour. On the high end, some of you here probably have UPCO where you're paying, 26 cents for your power. And that's what makes energy storage very attractive, or one of the components that makes energy storage very attractive is that, a lot of these utilities now don't offer credit or a significant amount of credit for energy that's sent back to the grid. So when you're producing that excess power after your battery's full on a daily basis, you're sending that power back to the grid. They're crediting you less than what you pay. So saving as much energy as possible in those batteries gives you a lot of value for your solar installation. The other thing that it does and that we encounter a lot up here is energy independence. So we work with a lot of people that already have existing generators, or they don't have a generator and they lose power on a very frequent basis. I talk to a lot of people that might lose power 1 to 4 times a month. And the way that we design these solar systems is that they incorporate your hybrid inverter that converts your DC solar to usable current, AC current for your home, stores energy in a battery, and then it also ties in a generator. So if your power goes out, your batteries kick in and they power your home. If your batteries discharge, and typically you lose power in the middle of a snowstorm, if your solar's not topping off your batteries, your generator can do that. So there's a lot of resilience in the hybrid energy systems that we design. And really the one of the greatest, points of value for our system is that energy independence. So these solar systems become your primary energy source for your home rather than the utility. The utility's there for, in the wintertime when you do buy a little bit of power, you'll suck power from the utility. But they're really just backup at that point. So and like Joan was talking about our ground mounts, another thing that's very unique about our company is that we manufacture our own ground mount racking. And that's the result of installing solar systems in the UP for, over 10 years now. We have a lot of experience. We understand the pitch of the solar panels and how to really eke out the most performance in those systems. So being able to tilt your panels to a steeper angle, like Joan was showing you, is going to shed snow more efficiently. And then we also pair that with bifacial panels. So as that sun hits the front of the solar array, it's producing energy, but it's also reflecting off of sunlight, off of the snow behind it and hitting the back of the panels, which boosts your production in the wintertime. So this solar array outside the township hall, we actually installed last fall as well. And they had a meeting this spring. I think Joan might have hosted that meeting, but they were, talking about how impressed they were with how much energy that produced through the wintertime and, the amount of value that that's brought to the township. So, yeah, there's a lot of great things that we're doing here. As a lot of you probably know, the tax credit, or maybe don't know, but the tax credit is going away for solar. But as a company, we're growing a lot. We're building systems more efficiently. We haven't seen a lot of changes in pricing. We're expecting prices of systems to come down in the next year. Maybe not as significantly as a tax credit, but as prices for energy continue to rise and the price of equipment decreases a little bit, we're going to see that come out in the wash, in the next couple of years. So we're already selling systems into 2026 here, and yeah, we're excited to see what the future brings. So yeah.
Is the tax credit expiring at the end of this year kind of thing, or?
It is, yep, it is.
Yeah, so from the big beautiful bill, the home residential tax credit, which was 30%, is going away at the end of 2025. And the way that works is you have to have your system set up, interconnected. So that was that online that Joan was talking about. So it's really a chance. We're getting at the end of the year here. I don't know very many, if any, companies that can do the permitting, get you online, get you connected by the end of the year, especially with winter coming. So that's why this is the last Solarize event of the year for us, GLREA. We weren't expecting the June change, but it happened. And so businesses, nonprofits, places of worship, local units of government, those are still eligible through 2027. But our home, unfortunately, is done at the end of 2025. So it's really difficult at this point to get that home tax credit. But with the MEC match, with the Solarize discount, if more people sign up, hopefully we can still get you some savings. And
Yeah.
as Ben was saying, energy prices are only rising. That's the only guaranteed in life, is that we're going to keep paying more for our energy bills. I've seen projections 20 to 30% potentially in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider about the return on investment from solar.
And to be honest, with how remote of an area we live in up in the UP and how dispersed our infrastructure is here, I'm surprised energy prices aren't higher. You know, the escalation rate for energy, the rate at which costs increase is much higher in the UP than on any other place in Michigan. So, you know, unfortunately, those rates are on the rise.
Yeah, and the UP has some of the highest rates in the nation, not just Michigan. So, you know, that's not always shared. But
Yeah.
one of the ways that GLREA is able to work with Peninsula Solar is that they're a Michigan Saves vetted contractor.
Mhm.
So that's an important part of this program, is that we're only partnering with solar contractors that we know and trust. And Michigan Saves says the same thing. So you can pay for solar a lot of different ways. Ben can probably talk about that a little bit more. But they are Michigan Saves, which is the nation's first green bank. We're pretty lucky to have Michigan Saves here in Michigan. So there is a lending option out there for you. If that's something you're looking at. Their interest rates are competitive. They partner with credit unions across the state of Michigan. I think it's high sixes right now is where those interest rates fall.
Mhm.
But obviously there's other ways to pay for solar as well.
Yeah, they're a great organization to work with. You know, I think the important thing with solar is that there's a lot of variation in the quality in the market. You know, in a company like ours that has master electricians and technicians that, you know, have been around for 10 years, is the quality of our workmanship is really high. And we follow through with our permitting, and permitting is very complicated for a solar array. It requires 5 different permits for every single project that we build. So, and every single township that we work with has different permitting policies. So it's a very complex component of what we do. You know, we have a full-time staff member that only does permitting. So it's a lot of work. But that's why Michigan Saves vets their contractors and, you know, make sure they're working with people that understand the industry and the rest of it. So yeah. Benefits. I think I talked about a lot of the long-term financial benefits. Essentially, you're locking in the cost of your electricity and paying for your electricity up front when you buy a solar system. And that solar system is going to, typically pay for itself in, maybe a 15-year period or less. And then for the rest of your life, as energy continues to increase in cost, your energy is locked in at a fixed rate. So that's a huge value for solar. You're taking a lot of the guessing out of the equation, and you're really owning your energy rather than renting that energy from the utility.
I've heard so.
Yes, sir.
The last 20 years, they last longer than that.
They do, yeah. So our solar panels.
Because you said the rest of your life, but if the panel only lasts 20 years and you're 40, well, that's no good.
Yeah, so the panels that we install are top tier panels. A lot of what we install is American-made modules, and those are actually warranted for 25 years with a 30-year performance warranty. So, and there's a lot of examples of panels lasting a lot longer than that in places like California, where solar's been around for a lot longer. They're rated for, at 30 years, to still produce, 85% of their original capacity. And they'll continue to produce energy past that point, but it really comes down to a lot of the framing on the panels and the gasketing that protects the glass from water intrusion and that kind of thing. It really depends on how you maintain your system over time, but that's a really good question.
Yeah, and
Or comment.
and it's not like the panels will stop working year 26 or year 31. You're just going to start losing efficiencies. Anywhere from 1 to 2% a year is kind of the standard that I've seen.
Yeah.
But you got panels from the 70s that are still working today, 50 years later. So, and the technology is,
Solar from the 70s?
yep, solar from the 70s. People
Oh, I
still
didn't
have,
know
yep,
that.
panels that are still rocking. So,
And you had a
Can
question?
you talk a little bit about battery lifespans and where we're at with
Yeah.
technology now? And that's really, the panels aren't gonna age out as fast as the battery.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, when I started in the industry, we were installing 5 kilowatt hours of energy storage versus for the same price as now we're installing 15 kilowatt hours of energy storage for our base option. And those batteries that we're installing, we've installed a lot of batteries over time and have learned that not all battery capacity is the same and built to the same quality. So we only install top tier batteries, and those batteries are rated in terms of life cycles. So batteries themselves most batteries across the board have a 10-year warranty with 9,000 life cycles, which is about 20 years. And that depends on how much you're discharging your batteries on a daily basis, but most people discharge the batteries every day down to 20% at least. So it's about a 20-year. We often recommend that people, set the discharge to a higher percentage to, even elongate that battery health. But that's a really good comment. And the thing is, the infrastructure, the most, time consuming and expensive part of the infrastructure is tying in your inverter with the rest of your electric panel and installing the solar panels themselves. But batteries are pretty easy to swap out. So, and that price will continue to drop. So, and you had a question as well?
Well, now I have two.
Okay, yeah.
One, you talked about maintenance, how you maintain your array. It depends on how well you're maintaining. I need to know what kind of maintenance is involved.
Yeah.
And two, I've heard that batteries need to be in a more climate controlled. It can't endure the really cold temperatures, but
Yeah.
yours is outside.
Right. And that's so I can address that first.
Uh-huh.
So battery technology has evolved to the point where they now have outdoor rated batteries that are self-heated. So those batteries are designed to maintain that temperature that you're discussing. So they have internal heaters and enclosures that are designed to withstand the elements. And then as far as panel maintenance, it really comes down to debris building up on the panels. So with a ground mount, they're much easier to access and hose off if they build up with pollen or other debris. But, just like a roof, if you see an asphalt roof around here and it's heavily shaded, you're going to get algae and other things that start to grow, and that asphalt's going to deteriorate the shingles. You have to clean that to elongate the life of the roof. And it's same with solar panels. If people have solar panels on the roof, I recommend you hose them off, if they start to build up with that. So.
Do you have to do any sealant like replacement or caulking or,
No.
you said this, like water intrusion?
Yeah, not on solar panels. The seals are designed to last in the elements. And we have had a couple instances of those seals failing in the past, I think 2, but again, with those panel manufacturer warranties, we have gotten free replacements. So
we'll move that. So,
yeah.
Rather than having the batteries outside in a special battery that heats itself and uses some of the energy up,
Yeah.
is it more efficient to put your batteries in a crawl space on your house?
Yeah, that's pretty
Just wire 'em
typical.
in like that?
Yeah, and everybody's situation is different. Ideally, if we can put them inside, that's great, but not everybody has that space available. And not only may they not have the appropriate space, but there's also a lot of code requirements where batteries can actually be placed in your house. So, they can go in basements, they can go in, mechanical rooms, garages, things like that. But yeah, if you put your battery in a temperature controlled environment, there's a little bit of savings and efficiency for sure. And that's pretty typical.
Where can't they go?
They can't go in a bedroom or a closet. Yeah. So, yeah.
My question is, The community solar that I solarize program that
Mhm.
we're, sorry, this is a really basic question. This is my ignorance, but we're talking about panels at each individual resident. And
Yeah.
There's a collective in one place.
For community solar, it's usually an array somewhere else and people buy in, would that be the correct?
Yeah, so we're here for individual systems at your own residence, or your own business or your own.
But the opportunity is that.
Community solar is not, we don't have a community solar law in Michigan.
So the advantage is if multiple people in the community decide to buy at the same time, then we're offering discounts and they're
Which is,
offering
yeah, which
some
is
incentives.
Right here, so that discount, what the community purchase, bulk buy purchase is this, where you're guaranteed a 5% discount by being part of the Solarize group here. And then every person after 5 signed contracts is a 1%, so maxing out at 15. So if 7 people sign up, that's 7% off. MEC is gonna do a 7% match as well. And that's how we're able to, yeah.
We're gonna do 50% regardless.
Oh, you don't, even, all right, sweet, there you go.
And then
Sign
you
up
had a
quick.
question? Okay.
We call it Chevenary because Chatham, Haven, and Trinary were all considered neighbors.
Yeah.
And so if somebody in Trinary gets solar and somebody in Scandia gets solar and somebody in Munising gets solar and I get solar, does that count?
Yeah,
How
it
close
does.
do we have to be? What's the proximity?
I mean, for us, we do systems all over the UP. So if we're doing a system that's within an hour of Marquette, that's close to home for us, and we'll still offer that discount.
Yeah, so to qualify for the 15% off from us, it just has to be located in Alger County.
Alger County.
Alger County. Yeah.
But if somebody's on the, oh, I guess, yeah, it doesn't qualify, but we'll still work with somebody if they happen to be in Marquette to give them a better price. You know, if they've mentioned the program. For mine, yeah, for ours.
And then the MEC match.
Because
yeah.
for some reason, we haven't done a ton of systems in Alger County. We've done systems everywhere else. But yeah, you know, so like whenever we're doing projects that are close to home or, you know, together, then we can offer better rates for labor. So, and you had another question? Yeah.
Must realize that the temperatures here can get down to like minus digits. I mean,
Yeah.
one year I lived here, it was minus 50 actual temperature.
Yep, absolutely. Yes, they're tested in Alaska and other cold weather environments. And that's the thing, we haven't been comfortable installing those batteries outside until they've gotten to the point where they are now. So. And you had another question?
And I apologize, I feel like your apology was like mine, like, I don't.
Oh.
No,
I answer these questions all the time. No bad questions.
So and because there's so many organizations represented today. So
Right.
your organization does 15% match, and then is there additional discount, or is it just 15% discount?
It's up to 15, yeah,
Oh.
so yeah, up to 15 total from being a part of the Solarize group by, with GLREA, Acres and, Peninsula, yeah.
And then, but then on top of that, right, so say that kind of you, or however many it takes to get us up to 15% total discount from the installer. On top of that, if you're in Alger County, we will also throw an additional.
That was my
So
question.
there it is up to 30.
It is, yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. That was that's what I was picking up on, is it's not just 15, it's 15 and 15.
15 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Once you get the numbers.
if we were to get. to
Yep,
15.
and that's the idea of the program is that,
Yeah.
you know, everyone here now can go talk to their friends and family and say, hey, there's this opportunity. If we do this at once, like, look what we can save.
So if it's
Saying the
20 to
numbers.
25, if it's 20 grand to 25 grand, say to put in the whole kit and caboodle, we get what, 3 grand roughly off for starters, and then.
An additional 3 grand on top of
Again,
that.
some from.
Yep, and it won't be on the battery system. It's only for the solar components. Yep.
The battery system's out of your own pocket.
Yeah, battery systems. are
Well,
all-
and one thing that we do as an ongoing promotion is that we actually the batteries on the battery line item on our proposal is not marked up beyond tax, shipping, and handling. So that's just something we've always offered, you know, as a company.
To be involved to get that 15, to top it off to 15%.
That's gonna be 15 contracts, yep, 15 people, yep, yep.
And then Dave, you had a
By what
question?
time? By,
So that's been, we've done it different in the past. Kind of the typical timeline we've done is, 2 weeks to request a proposal, 2 weeks from that point to kind of make a decision. And so, yeah, about a month overall
so
A month from
tonight-
when?
today.
Okay.
So basically tonight you sign up that you have interest.
Yep, get a free quote, and Ben can talk about that process. And then, you got a couple weeks to mull it over, and then make a plan from there with Peninsula on when that's all gonna happen.
And-
So that's where the end of the cycle comes. So, whenever that deadline is, we can put that in the email we'll send out after this. That point will come. We'll keep you updated on the way, hey, as you're working with Ben, he can say, hey, 6 people have signed up or whatever it is, and then at the end, we'll know that discount.
And then I think Dave had a question next, and then I can answer you.
Rough cost and size of batteries right now?
Yeah, so our standard single battery, and a lot of companies have gone to these monolithic style batteries. So it's a Powerwall, Tesla Powerwall looking thing, even though it's not Tesla. But it's 16 kilowatt hours, and those are about $4,000, and that includes your shipping and tax.
And this program won't cover the batteries?
No, we don't cover the batteries. You don't get that scale, the economies of scale discount on the battery. I wish we did, we're able to, hopefully in the future, battery prices keep coming down, but honestly, $4,000 for a battery, I mean, part of the, return on investment, think about every time that power goes out, if you lose a refrigerator, that peace of mind, all those costs, hidden costs do add up, and the battery can help prevent that, so.
And to be fully transparent, when you add a battery to a solar system, it does complicate the entire electrical installation. So there is a bit more cost in addition to that than just the battery, but it's on a case by case basis. So we don't have, we don't throw $3 a watt at every project that we bid. It's everybody's project is bid specifically for, your home electrical system and you had a question?
Is that percentage, discount? You said only covers solar.
So solar, electrical
Does that include,
upgrade.
like the inverter, the wiring?
Yep, kind of all those pieces for the solar.
Installation.
Yep, that's right.
Just not the battery.
Just not, yep.
So I
Pretty
guess I
much.
break out the battery on
Yeah.
these proposals.
Yep,
The footers.
yep.
Yes.
What if you have a farm situation and you're running a 220 pump,
Mm-hmm.
submersible pump in your well to provide water for cattle and household and whatnot? Will this kind of a system handle that?
That's a great question. So the solar inverters that we're installing, the batteries are DC and the solar's DC, but the inverter outputs 120, 240 at anywhere between 40 and 60 amps. So most people have a 240 well or 220 well. And so, yes, it will power that well pump. Some things that it might not power is something like like a car charger or a sauna stove or really heavy resistive electric or inductive loads like motors and things. But anything that you can imagine that's important to, maintaining homeostasis on your property, your refrigerator, your well pump, your furnace fan, it's going to power all those major components of your home to protect your home when power's out.
How long will it run that?
That's also a great question. So it depends on how much power you're using. So batteries are not like generators where it's an infinite supply. It depends on a couple things, how much sun is shining, and then how much battery capacity you have. So if you have a 16 kilowatt hour battery and your home is consuming 1,000 watts, it's going to last for about 16 hours. If your power goes out and you're consuming 500 watts continuous, then it's going to last for 30 hours. But that doesn't count if the sun's shining or not, so might get a little bit of charge here and there from the sunshine. So it's almost a loaded question because it's kind of hard to give you an exact answer to that, but we can help people on a person-to-person basis understand that depending on how they use their energy.
With a charge system, you got air tank.
Mm-hmm.
pressure tank.
Yep.
When, say, cows are drawing water out of a water tank, and the pressure in the tank goes down to
The pressure tank
15,
clicks
20
on.
pounds.
Yep.
And then the submersible pump kicks on. It only, on the farm now, it only runs a little while
Right.
to bring that pressure back up to 60 pounds.
Yep.
And
And it kicks off.
Kicks out. So you're saying that even though it's in a cycle, it would have plenty of energy to run that cycle for
X amount of time.
X amount of days.
And if we talk after the presentation, I can show you some examples because we've done installations for Shady Grove Farm. We just did an install yesterday for Tenella Farm in Marquette and a couple other farms in Marquette that I can show you some examples of for sure. Go ahead. Trying to make sure I get everybody.
Camp with EcoFlow Delta Pro Ultra with one battery.
Okay.
That's the inverter.
Yeah,
And we're powering it up, the battery now with a propane generator.
sure.
So we want to switch over to solar.
Yeah, okay.
Can you supply the
Yeah.
things we need?
A lot of the times we'll supply equipment for people that have existing systems, but we typically don't install if people have, systems that aren't installed by us. It's because there's a lot of electrical challenges with that, but we can definitely, consult you and help you with some
I recently tried
panels.
to purchase some 70-watt bifacial panels,
Hmm.
and I tried 3 different online companies, and all the warehouses were empty.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky for sure.
So we don't know if we need, he says we need things to attach the panels to each other and then to our system. Do you handle that kind of?
Yeah, we can help you with that. We can sell you the components and kind of explain how to do it for sure. So,
The surge protectors?
yeah. And you had a
Is there
question?
any limitations, so this is for the two of you guys, on the programs with, concerning like if it were a new construction in 2026, or does it have to be an existing house? And by the way, it's totally off grid. There's no other solar, there's no other power coming
So,
in.
I'll let Ben speak to that. I think, if you were to, sign a contract, I think the bill wouldn't be out till 2026, probably regardless. So, I think that if the contract signed within, a reasonable window after this meeting, that it would apply, the discount would apply.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it had anything to do with, you're tying into a house that's already built.
Nope.
The programs are fun.
I mean, as far as I know, the tax credit covered off-grid and on-grid systems, and we do a lot of fully off-grid modern homes. That's one of our specialties. So we just did 2 in Grand Marais last week. So it's pretty cool stuff.
Last question. They say that if you buy in bulk, we can get a discount that way. What would be considered the lowest amount of panels you could order? Because we only need like 10 or 12.
I don't know the answer to that question. That might be better. What is the?
No, there's no, minimum per se. It's more individual basis, right? So it's not so much system size as it is to, each person signing up as an individual.
It's the number of houses. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
No, the number of contracts.
And then ma'am, I think you had another question?
I was just wondering, you say you have electricians and you do all the installing them. Would you be able to put in an outlet for an electric car so that you could charge an electric car?
Yeah. We don't typically do a lot of side electrical work because we're so busy with just solar installations. We do 2 of them a week. But yeah, we like something like a car charger that's pretty straightforward. We can definitely do that for you. Yep. Yes.
So this is an off-grid house that's been built, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't foresee power lines running all the way to this area. So I mean, the reality, if you think about spending all this money, we live up in this area, which gets a lot more snow than Marquette, and we're not Phoenix, and we have below average sunny days
Mm-hmm.
compared to the rest of the nation.
Yep.
So like if we're looking about and you go out to this place in the winter, when we get days and days chained together with snow.
Yeah.
Or clouds.
So
Are we gonna get,
So every
Nothing-
off-grid
Nothing
system,
during those days, I'm assuming.
every off-grid system that we build has an on-demand generator as part of that design process. So it's very low runtime with the way that we design the solar panels nowadays. So we have an off-grid system that we built in Michigame that they ran their generator for a total of 40 hours last winter, and the solar covered the rest of their energy needs. But that on-demand generator is there so that if the sun, is not charging, if the batteries reach a minimum discharge rate, the generator just kicks on, charges the batteries back up, and kicks off.
When it's cloudy in the winter here, do you get anything off those solar
You
panels?
do. So the panels are so efficient these days, plus the bifacial gain, your panels can be completely covered with snow and you'll still get a few hundred to 1,000 watts, depending on the size of that array. So it's since bifacial panels come out, the amount of energy that we're producing now with our solar systems has increased by about 20%. It's significant for our area. Yes.
You have a chart that shows for this area what the average number of solar days that you would.
I think it's 4 for our region. If you search, there's a governmental website that shows you how many hours of sunlight it is. I think it's somewhere around 4. Phoenix or other sunny areas, I think it's closer to 6. So it's not as significantly different as you might think, but and then I saw another question.
I have a couple questions. First, when my husband and I first dreamed of getting solar like 20 years ago, we thought we would, maybe solarize the garage first, to save money. But you're talking about doing a whole house solar.
Mhm.
Now, if we were going to go conservative on what we thought we needed on that and wanted to expand the panels or the capacity later, is that difficult to do or?
It's not difficult because we deal with a lot of different situations, but it's just a matter of truck rolling crew to your site. So there is an increased cost to send a crew of electricians and construction technicians to the site. So but there's probably we do a handful of those situations every year, and yeah, we work with people and we'll be honest and with you on what's the best option. Yes.
I'm considering putting it in the field adjacent to the house, so the trenching would we would have to prepare all that for you and put in the footings.
We do all of the construction work, so we put the footings in. We actually have a commercial post pounder now. So we actually have steel I-beams that are pounded into the earth. So and the depth of those piles and if you have rocks or something in the ground, then we do concrete foundations. So there's a lot of different installation methods depending on the type of soil conditions that you have.
And the trench coming to.
Yeah. So we do depends. So it's 18 inches to the top of the conduit. That's electric code. And if you're going across a driveway, it's 24 inches to the top of the conduit.
Can you cross over existing power lines? Because where we
Yeah.
are thinking of putting panel would require running a cable over the
Yep.
feed that we get from the power pole.
We have a lot of, so every single ground mount, there's always something crossing the trench path. And it's sometimes the client knows about it, sometimes they don't. If we're not made aware of it, then like Mistig, some people don't know, but Mistig only marks public utility lines that are coming from the road to your house. So if you have a subfeed that's going out somewhere and you don't know about it, we hit it sometimes, but we have all the repair kits that we need to fix those water lines. It doesn't happen very often, especially water lines are deep enough, but Mistig will mark your public utilities and we hand dig around those to find that. And then we have a full-size skid steer that we trench with. So
Communities have to opt into Mystic, so some don't.
right, but we also have locators.
Yeah.
And the first thing that I think about when I go to a job site is where are all your utilities? We're used to it with off-grid houses and stuff. So that's a good question. That's a really good one. Yeah.
Do you have to tie in directly to like a circuit breaker box or?
Yep. If you're grid tied, that's exactly. So it's there's a lot of different ways you can do that, and we can talk, depending on your situation. Yeah.
Do you, the electrical inspector for Alger County that does normal construction, is that the same
Yep.
system that
Is
the
it Mike?
agency you use, or do you use a different?
It is. So it depends. In Alger County, it is the county inspector. I can't remember his name. Mike Rozak, yeah. So I know Mike Rozak, and yeah, we've been working with him for years. But you know, if we did a system on a school or a federal building, it might actually be a state inspector. So there's a lot. It depends on the jurisdiction. But
So
for
it's
residential,
not so much the fact that it's solar and not solar, it's the size of the job and the jurisdiction of the
yep.
the ownership.
But it's Alger County for our inspections.
As far as snowbirds, what kind of maintenance needs to be done, if you're away from your home for 5-6 months a year?
Yeah.
You know, we don't know for sure if we're going to be planning to be in a
Yeah.
warmer climate at some point. But if we were to go away and close up the house for the winter, what kind of thing has to be done? Would we have to pay somebody to shovel that up, to check the battery weekly or?
So all of our systems have remote monitoring, and the thing that we recommend and we send email blasts out for is just seasonal programming. So setting your depth of discharge in your battery to a higher percentage so that, I mean, in the wintertime, that's when you tend to lose power. So you set your battery to a higher percentage so that you have more battery capacity to back up your home, you know, when you're gone. But if you have a ground mount, those arrays really do shed the snow very efficiently nowadays. So you're not having to, you know, always manually pull the snow off of them. Yeah.
Does the angle of the ground mount change? Can you change it for spring, for summer to winter?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the major advantage with the ground mount production is shedding snow in the wintertime. And so our arrays tilt between about 40 degrees and 55. So I recommend people just change them twice a year. Once.
But you manually change them for more summer.
Yeah.
For summer, okay.
And it takes, you know, 5 or 10 minutes for somebody. And I just say after the last snow in the spring and then after the first snow in the fall, just twice a year.
So between June and August then?
Yeah. But it's really like you might, and honestly, a lot of people just leave them in the steepest position. You're not going to lose a lot of efficiency in the summertime. So
I think she said that hers were facing southwest.
Yeah.
Is that the best angle? up here,
it
or-
depends on the site really. So they had a lot of trees that we had to work with. And so you know, southwest, southeast, it really kind of depends on the exact angle on the property because we're just trying to maximize that aspect.
Barn, so it's like this, it's got steep angles and then like this.
Yeah.
They face east and west, so the solar panels east and west, and you know.
And that's very common. So yeah. And that is super common. So a lot of people, you know, especially when we're doing projects in like more densely populated areas, it's always on the roof because you can't do a ground mount. And as the sun comes across the sky, you know, you're illuminating the east side and then the west side at night, and production is very similar. So, yeah.
Yeah, they have an app, when they come out, they have an app on their iPhone. At least Ben's predecessor did, and
Mhm.
you know, he measured the sunlight and said, well, this would be the best direction.
Yeah, all our guys are super knowledgeable. So we look at it during the site visit and, you know, then the construction crew shows up to build the array and they're kind of looking at it and thinking about it and talking to the clients and, you know, yeah, there's a lot to goes into it. All right.
And if other questions,
I was just gonna say, yeah, I'm here to answer questions and even to look at the ground mount outside if anybody has any thoughts but yeah, appreciate the time.
Yep, and I'm gonna pause the recording here. I do got one last shameless plug that GLRA is a membership-based organization, so it's like $30 a year for individual members. So please consider becoming a member, glra.org, and there's a information sheet over here about Solarize and our membership. So thanks for coming out, and yeah, we'll be around for a little bit to answer any more questions.